Hi everyone, welcome to the second video on my channel since we've created Level Up Rocketry and changed the paradigm of the YouTube channel altogether. Today will be a fairly simple video. We had a Queensland Rocketry Society member, Kieran, attempt his Level 2 certification last month. Unfortunately, his certification was a failure because he had a zipper in his lower airframe. So I'll have a look today to see what can be done to make sure that doesn't happen for his next attempt. Now, Kieran's keen to get his L2 certification before he travels to AURC down at Whitecliffs in New South Wales and being run by Endeavour Aerospace this year. And his rocket is about 1.8 metres in length, 10 centimetres in diameter, made primarily out of phenolic as well. And he flew his first Level 2 attempt on a J270 motor. So I do have a video here that I'll play now of his first attempt. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the parachute deployment, but you'll see the flight. And then later on in this video, I'll have the video from his second attempt. So that means we'll be looking at things like the shock cord material and dimensions that are being used. We'll also look at a zipper fixer, see if that can be attached to the shock cord somehow. And we'll also take a look at his open rocket file to see that the changes he made as a result of the damage done by the zipper haven't affected the stability of the rocket. Being on the so even though we are focusing on the reasons for the first L2 failure, we'll also be giving the rocket a once over, checking things like his motor retention strategies, the epoxies that he's used, the overall health of the fins. We'll have a look at the knots he's been using for his shock cord mounts, and so on. Just give it the once over just to make sure everything else is working fine. Yeah, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
Perfect. And what's the big projects in that space, in the QUT aerospace?
Oh, I mean, we do all sorts.
Okay.
I mean, just one of our programs is rocketry.
Yeah.
But hey, we're also launching satellites. We also do all sorts of drone work. Things are certainly going.
And if people want to know about them, what do they need to do?
Head over to QUTaerospace.society.com.au, or you can check out our socials as well.
Awesome. So Kieran was unsuccessful with his L2 attempt with QRS last month. So I'm just going to give his rocket the quick once over and just see if there's any changes that we can make to make sure that his next attempt is successful. And then I can just hand him his K850, 840 motor, whatever it is, to take down to AURC. Perfect. All right, let's start, hey?
Alrighty.
So one thing that I've talked to Kieran about already is the shock cord. So what went wrong on the last attempt, Kieran?
Yeah, big zipper of about a caliber.
Yep.
Because I was using little rounded shock cord that just went straight through it.
Yep.
Kevlar strings.
Very nice. What do we got here? We've got a sock.
Yeah, so I put a sock.
Clean?
On the shock. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the purpose of the sock?
So I reckon because I want to tape it like down here a little bit more.
Yep.
And so hopefully it catches the lip.
Okay.
Instead of the shock cord itself, to hopefully spread it out a bit.
So what is this cord? Is that like the harness, is it?
So that's the stuff glued into them.
Yep.
And then I've just got a carabiner.
Yep. Awesome. Because I noticed that this is now what's hitting the lip.
Correct. Yeah. So I got to tape that sock over there. Or I think you suggested pool noodle the other day.
Yes, I was thinking of hacking a chunk off that.
Yeah.
If you want, I can have a look what I've got there. And the other thing I noticed here, I believe this is a Kevlar shock cord.
Yeah.
What made you decide on this length of cord?
This is like 6.5 meters to about a 2 meter rocket, so it's like 3 body.
3 body. And is that a good ratio?
I reckon so. 3-4.
Okay. The other thing I was going to ask, after you zippered, you lopped off a length of the body tube.
Yeah.
So has this been remodeled in Open Rocket or Roxen since doing that?
Yeah, super easy.
Yep.
I think I've done from like literally 1.2 to like 1.1
Okay.
stability.
1.1. Okay, is that borderline or is it?
Oh, I think it's pretty crazy.
Okay. All right, let me just show you. This is what I have used.
Oh wow.
So that's what I've used on the larger like M motor launchers, but then there's smaller stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit manky, but you can see that. So that's the tubular nylon, and that will have a lot more give in it than the Kevlar. I'm not sure what sort of length, but you're welcome to borrow a length of that, or we can cut it down if you want. Yeah, I just don't know what sort of.
Well, what do you think in terms of length? Because I was taught to go like 3-4 body lengths.
I tend to play safe and maybe look at more 5 to 1. I'm not saying it's a hard and fast rule, or that's the only length that works.
So then I'd be looking for 10 meters of stuff.
Yeah. How long's that length did you do?
This ain't 10 meters.
Yeah.
It's probably like 2.5-ish.
See that parachute again. So you can see. So that's the Kevlar. And if you smell it, you'll see. You can smell kind of the ejection charge from the motor on it.
So like in the case where it is ripped like this.
Yep.
Like there's, I mean, surely that's no good. And
No. Did you? Yeah. Cut it out, and now you've got 2 lengths instead of 1. Yeah, I would not use that at all.
So
it's like rocketry, high power rocketry is about points of failure and identifying points of failure and trying to eliminate them as much as possible. It's your rocket, it's your decision. Yeah, it's up to you what you want to do. My feeling is that the tubular nylon is a better choice than the Kevlar.
So yeah, look, if I can find good tubular nylon.
You're welcome to borrow. And then just boom fire.
Oh, easy as that's what.
Yeah. So if you have a look at those shock cords that have got knots in them, that's what most of them will have. So that's what I found the most reliable. And if you're not happy with that, then put some epoxy in. But it may be possible to I'm going to tie that knot, maybe possible, and then slide it down. If it's not, doesn't matter, we just adjust. There's glue too there, isn't it? Crawling pipe. So it's up to you. It's hard, but that's not, you're not going to zip it. So.
Because like I have pull fun at home. Like pull noodles at home that I can use.
It's all up to you.
Yeah, I'll just do that.
Yeah, that's probably good, but
You reckon?
it's just the size of it may be an issue because you're using motor injection, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna affix the sock kind of
Yep.
there.
Yep. Yep, about halfway. What about putting some super glue around the rim to harden that?
Yes.
Should we do that now, or do you want to do that later?
Yeah, let's go.
Actually, let's do it later because I want to do test fits and stuff like that. I don't want to glue the whole thing together.
Of course, duct tape's gonna fix all my problems.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's a box cutter there and scissors here. Children's scissors here. Surprised that worked. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, just wrap that around and keep it in place, and yeah, you'll be good. That's an absolute guarantee. Okay, so let's start it. Oh, what have I got?
Oh, yeah. So that is, if you have a look at the. So I had to drill
Yep.
holes to get those in.
Yep.
A little bit of the plywood of the centering rings fell in, and I couldn't get it in. So that's what that is.
That's all good. Okay, so this is Z clips that you're using for retention.
These are. Where's my box at? A little bit plasticky.
Right. It could be. It could easily be JB Well, chunk of that.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it doesn't sound like plywood. But you know, you're not getting it out now.
No.
Oh wow. Okay, so
What was that a mouthful?
I was just wondering how you connect.
Yeah.
How you reach in there to connect that up.
So what I do.
So it can be done, right?
Oh yes, it can be done. Yeah. So I'll just spin around like that, and it's actually quite easy.
Oh, okay.
Loop it in like that, and now I'm just easily tighten it up.
Okay. So what are you tightening there?
Because it's just one of the
quick links.
Yeah, it's just one of these quick links.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a moment, but it's not that difficult. Yeah, it's just one of these.
Okay.
There we go.
I don't mind if you put it on. Jeez, okay. So look at that. Well done. Easy. Yes, okay. So what was the thinking behind doing this rather than, so I guess why break it there rather than break it there?
Mm-hmm. It was a lot to do with the materials I had on hand. And if I couldn't use those, the lead time to get more materials would have been months and months.
So what was the material that was stopping?
It just so happened that I had a material bit that was that long. I had a little bit of scrap bit that was that long, and we didn't have any more.
But you could still break it here.
No, I've epoxied that together.
But during construction, you could have broken it there.
Yeah. There's a big red PLA bulkhead there.
Yep. Yeah, it just I guess, yeah, I mean, you demonstrated it can be done pretty easily. Just try to keep it simple, you know?
Yeah.
Just as simple as possible. Yeah, okay, let's check the fit. Yeah, so that's just something to think about. Most of the rockets I've built are this sort of size. Yeah, big nose cone ejection. Like that, and that distance, that extra bit of distance shouldn't make too much difference as far as ejecting the nose cone or not. And you just treat that as a payload day. And that gives you expansion opportunities. It feels good because it's separated fine, isn't it?
It sure did, yeah.
Okay, so
It probably would have been fine with just the 2 grams of black powder.
what did you put in?
I put like 1.5 extra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes, that's right. That could have contributed to the zipper.
Yeah.
So black powder calculators.
Yes. Yeah, having used them after the failed launch, it would have been cruisy with what was in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the black powder calculators. Everyone seems to give you a different answer.
Yeah, they're always a bit.
Yeah, but still worth checking, I guess. And the pressure bleed holes. How did you decide on that size?
So some of them already existed.
Yep.
And
Oh, okay. Yep.
like that one there was already drilled into the body frame.
Yep. So you're happy with that size? So okay. I guess the rule of thumb with the
to have it a bit higher, eh?
Yeah, I think in about the middle. If it ejected fine on the last one, last launch,
100%.
that's probably okay. But that's all open there anyway, you know. So yeah, so that's probably fine. Those cone bolts are in. Okay, so rail buttons. What happened to the other one? Where was it?
Oh well, it was on that bit of tubing that I cut off.
Oh, okay, of course.
I've got.
So now, like as far as rail button positioning, I haven't really seen too much documentation on that. The only thing I have seen was from PML, which said put the second rail button at the center of gravity when the rocket doesn't have the motor installed. Okay, so like I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but yeah, so we can check that and then try and put it at that point. The other thing is you got the bleed hole there. I guess it doesn't make any difference because you'd be off the rail anyway. So what do you want to do? You're going to leave that one on and we're going to put rail buttons on?
I'm pretty confident to sand back some paint there and then just epoxy that on. Because these have never failed me.
Oh, so you epoxied those on. Oh, okay. So why do you prefer the rail guides to the rail buttons?
I always find screwing them in is really difficult.
Yep.
And there's always like you're fiddling around with them and having to this. Also there's no damaging. Well, not damaging, but drilling into the airframe with these.
Yep. I've done. I've put rockets on with epoxy rail guides and they just pop straight off.
Really? Okay.
Yes. If you haven't had that, that's great.
But you reckon it will happen at some point?
I don't know. Maybe it'll never happen. Maybe it's just I didn't epoxy it right. But just so you know, you don't lose your rocket because it just doesn't go on the rail. But that's something to be conscious of. That's why I prefer the rail buttons because I can screw it into the setting area at the bottom here, and then because it's most of the way up the airframe, I can fit a bolt in. Fit a nut in. But it's entirely up to you. Okay, but it's your rocket. I want to give you the best chance. But the good thing about that is, if it does pop off, it's easy to attach on. And what you can also do is you can attach that here, and we can put rail buttons on between 2 other things as well. There's nothing stopping you putting multiple.
at least for the time being, I'll just keep it simple for myself.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with. I'm bringing most of my crap on launch day now, so there's nothing wrong with saying, "Oh, has anyone got a spare rubber?" Not that specific size. Okay, shall we sand and glue this on?
I reckon so.
Yeah.
Do you have sandpaper around? Because I only have this 120 grit stuff.
I will definitely have something somewhere. That is, you can rip up any parts that you want. Rip up any pieces you want. So when do you plan on getting into electronics?
When I have to. Just because electronics is where I struggle.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I kind of want to stay away from it as long as I can.
Okay. Well, you know, if you just buy off the shelf stuff, it's pretty simple. But it's another thing to plan and design around.
Yeah. Do you reckon I should epoxy it like I was going to plan to, or do you reckon I'll just super glue it?
I would use whatever's going to get you better grip. Because, yeah, as I mentioned before, I've epoxied and it popped off. So that's what I would do. Have you got epoxy here, or
I do not have epoxy.
Luckily, there's something I prepared earlier. They've been sitting there for about 4 years. Okay. The long paddle sticks or the short ones?
The long ones, please.
Long ones. Well, I think it's probably good to go.
Because the big things were the shock core and now they're both soft.
Yeah. So I'll bring my rail buttons on the weekend, just in case. And as I said, we can put them on now if you want. It's totally up to you. It's just a matter of sort of screwing them in on another section. And it looks like there's another hole here already in there. I don't know if you'd use that or not.
Oh yeah, that was. There used to be a tail cone on the end.
Ah, okay. Yep.
But I chopped it off.
Okay. The only thing is, if you decide to put rail buttons in, just make sure you're below the shoulder.
Yes.
So you'd have to go down to about here, which I don't think would be a problem. But yeah. What else? It was pretty good. I sent Nick Martinezzi, I guess, a guideline for doing a certification flight. I can send that on to you as well if you want. I put it on Mega, but it's just like getting a quiet spot, not having people around bothering you, just being able to concentrate and prepping everything as much as you can beforehand. It's just things like that. I can send that on to you if you want. It's just on Mega somewhere.
Oh, I think it's. I'll have a look on the Mega and see if I can find it.
Yep. Yeah. You've got access to Mega now.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Anything else? What else?
I'm hoping you would know what else.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, there's lots of little things, but just beveling the fins that we talked about. But yeah, what would I be worried if this is my rocket? What would I be worried about? You got good. Oh, is this fin can built externally? Was it? Or was that through the wall?
What do you mean by built externally?
So you can build, like, see how this was actually built externally. So I built all this stuff, and the fins.
Like there's no fin tabs?
Yes, and then I slid it in from the bottom of the airframe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I slid it in through the bottom.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. That gives you a much stronger solution, I think. I can't see any reason that. I mean, as long as you get that zipper stopper in,
Yeah.
I can't see any reason why you would fail.
Yeah. I suppose with the old shock cord, I didn't really take the care I needed to, and like gently winding it up, it did get tangled. But that's easy enough to do better this time around.
So what's the so just trying to think now. It's been a while since I watched a big one.
Is that a bin there?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so when you're folding the parachute, so you just, this size probably doesn't matter too much, but yeah, you spread it out so it's all in like a triangle shape.
Yeah.
You can fold the top down, fold in half, and then like loop all your bits of shock cord and place them in there, and then wrap your sheet up. So that way, when it gets punched out, the shock cord should get pulled out at the same time. And yeah, there's nothing for the shock cord to catch on.
Yeah, easy as. That's what I've been doing.
Okay, perfect. So how did the shock cord get tangled on the last?
Because it was like a bit old and gross, it kind of like caught on itself.
Yeah, okay.
I also kind of just stuffed it in there at the end.
Don't do that. All right, looks good. Yeah.
Alrighty.
I think when it's time to build your L3 rocket, it's down and go through it in detail first.
Yeah.
Not end up with this crazy quickling solution.
Because that's a previous zipper from the very first launch.
Okay.
And that's pretty much exactly a cooler camera.
Yeah.
So I've just epoxied that in. And also the coupler.
Yep, that'll do it.
Yeah. Just a little artifact.
And happy with the stability margin?
Yeah. This is actually the easiest rocket I've done in regard to stability margin.
Okay, great.
Just worked out nice.
What were some of the previous ones?
I think I did an LPR that was like stability 3.
Okay.
And then the first L1, that grey one that went off and found, that had like stability like 5 or 6.
Wow. Okay.
And then the black and white V2 one was like 0.6, 0.7. Yeah.
How'd that go? I don't remember.
It went all right. Yeah.
I've heard that the chunky, like the fat rockets like that, you can be a bit more forgiving with the stability margin.
Yeah, and that's what I feel.
Yeah. And I guess as the motor burns as well, pushes center gravity.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Yeah, well, I failed my first L2 attempt.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people do.
And so, yeah, doesn't mean you won't pass this one.
No, I'm actually guaranteed to pass this. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that. Appreciate you coming over.
Do you reuse your paddle pop sticks, or do you just chuck it?
Just chuck it. I got 10 million. Tell me how you're feeling before your successful L2 flight.
You know what? I'm feeling exactly the same as I did for my first LPR.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Is that good or bad?
It's like a weird emptiness down here. You've got like a void. I don't know. It's really weird.
Okay, that's good. So, what do you rate your chances of success as?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Awesome. That's what we like.
Months in the making. It's going to succeed.
Awesome. So, good luck. What's the name of the rocket, Brendan?
It is. So what we've got today is we've got Kieran Wagstaff, and we've got his 4-inch Praktikkraft roast. It's German, isn't it? Come on.
I've called it the Praktikkraft Resusciteer.
Praktikkraft Resusciteer. It's going to 36,000 feet.
Awesome. 36,000. Nice. I didn't think our ceiling was that high, but
Neither did I.
36,000 tenths of a feet. So 3,600 feet on a J316. Motor deployment at apogee, so it's 17-second adjusted down by 5 seconds. Recovery is a 42-inch parachute at apogee. Right. So it's a maiden flight or
It's flown in various configurations. This will be the
so
third
it's not
time.
maiden, so we're all good with that. Alrighty. So you're all set to go for photographs and videos. We have clear skies. We have a no time in place, so
Yes.
hopefully people are obeying it. So clear skies. Let's check the continuity. We're on B. Change it to 1.
B3 I had.
Okay, it's the car showing 1, so I have continuity on 3.
Yep.
I think what you said 4. So we have clear skies. So we'll be launching in 5, 4, 3,